Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Street Peace Coalition on Chicago Can TV, Channel 21 on your Chicago Comcast station. My name is Minister Michael Muhammad, founder of the Street Peace Coalition, and I want to welcome all of you who are return viewers, and we hope that you will continue to tune in. We hope that you will call in. As you can see on your screen, the call-in number is 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. You can also connect with the Street Peace Coalition at these web addresses. That's facebook.com Street Peace Coalition, and that's www.streetpeacecoalition.weebly. We would love for you to friend us on Facebook. We would love for you to send us a note. We would love for you even more so to connect with us and make an investment in the community and come out and help us with the work that we do to prevent violence and intervene in violence. We have to get out of this sideline couch potato coaching and critique. We should be willing to be invested in our own community. It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't even take a lot of time. It just takes a lot of concern and a little bit of courage. If you don't, whatever your gifts, your talents, your ability, your expertise, we need help to get out and engage our community at the ground level to dissuade, to set a tone and a climate, to spread a message that might save a life. And so we know that we are not able to solve the violence problem on our own because there is no one solution, because it is a very complex problem. But that does not exonerate us from our responsibility to come forward, to step forward. Those of you who have military training of any kind, then you have a sense of the discipline, the decorum, the order, and some of the kind of methodologies we use to engage with violence. We need you to become a part of the Street Peace Coalition and bring your energy, bring your concern, and we will be that much stronger with your participation. I see we have a caller. I'm going to go to the caller. Is the caller on yet? Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
All right, my brother. A question or comment?
My name is Michael Tucker. I used to be a gamer. I used to be one of the guys that's out here in these streets shooting and robbing and all that there. The reason why I participated in so much of that, because I wasn't getting no love at home. So I joined the gang, figuring I was getting love from them that I get instead of from mom. But I never received that love from the gang. I was only misled, used, and abused.
Yes, sir.
And I ended up going to prison for 17 years. And getting out of prison, I've been working with various organizations. Some for the community, some not for the community. And I was just listening to you, and I'm like, man, this brother on something. This brother talking what other brothers need to hear.
Appreciate that.
Man, I want you to stick to what you say you're doing, what you're about, bro. I'm going to try to give you my information so I can do some follow-up and connect with you and be a part of a real movement.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thank you for your call, my brother. You can certainly send us your information directly at this information. You can send us an inbox on Facebook at Street Peace Coalition. You can send us an email through the Street Peace Coalition website at streetpeacecoalition.weebly, or you can call back in and give our call screener your information, and I'd be happy to call you and have a conversation with you. But the Street Peace Coalition is an outgrowth of Torchlight Interfaith Ministries. This is the ministry that we founded. Some of us are followers, disciples, if you will, of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Some of us were Christians, and so we created an interfaith ministry, and that ministry started out doing a lot of outreach, a lot of evangelistic type of work, trying to enlighten people along the lines of spirituality and religion. And from that outreach work, we always had a special interest in what went on in the streets. And so I have a vast background of engaging street organizations, leadership of street organizations. And so out of a series of meetings we held for over a year with brothers like yourself, the previous caller, who were formerly very active in street life, street organizations, this group, independent group, division of our ministry, the Street Peace Coalition, emerged. And so we engage at the ground level where the violence happens. We don't do prayer vigils, we don't do marches, we don't do any of the traditional conventional techniques that are very popular with people who react and respond to violence. We do something a little more organic, a little more direct. I see we have a caller. Can you, is the caller there? Are you there, caller?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Jay, the one who called last week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think the boy, the leader is probably the problem, like I've been saying. And Eddie Johnson ain't doing no good.
All right.
And see, okay, see, they always come on the west side, south side, they always do that. And Eddie Johnson is probably the problem. And Rod Manuel and the media.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, I think I've already agreed with that statement that Superintendent Johnson, as well as the mayor, are a big part of the problem in more ways than one. This is very true, but that's the political side of this problem. The Street Peace Coalition, we focus on the domestic side of this problem. We focus on how we interact with each other in our communities and our neighborhoods. We focus on those things that we can control every single day of our life. And that's how we interact with one another, how we see each other, how we treat each other, and how we can influence each other to be more positively engaged with each other on a day-to-day basis. How can we be a better example as men for our young men and our boys? How can we be better examples as all males in the treatment of our females? How can we encourage our females to love themselves more, to know more about themselves, and to carry themselves in a way that will not contribute to a lot of contention, a lot of hostility, a lot of negativity, as we see we are in the midst of a generation of young women who love to fight, who are willing to cuss, scream, shout, scratch, bite, kick, punch, bludgeon. We just saw the horrific story on the news over the weekend of two black girls, young black ladies. One was a young woman, one was a teenager, 24 and 18, and the 24-year-old, they had a dispute over some young man, and that dispute, they took it out on one another, and the 24-year-old took her car and slammed her car into the 18-year-old, killing her, pinning her against a tree, and they say, I believe she backed up over the young lady, ran over her twice, from what I understand, and that young lady's life is gone. So our young women and our older women have a role to play in stopping this violence. We have to come to terms in our community with some realistic thinking. We cannot have pie in the sky thinking. We cannot have a dependency mentality, believing that if we call in more police, if we call in the National Guard, if they put more money into law enforcement, that somehow that is going to solve a problem that is rooted in how we teach and train our children to behave and see and view themselves, how we socialize our children, and how we have been socialized as adults to sanitize the type of vitriol, self-hatred, and violence that still permeates our community, even though we were emancipated from slavery in 1865. Many, far too many of us are victims today, still in 2017, of a slave mentality. And that is the very mentality that makes us believe that law enforcement or the National Guard will come and save us from ourselves. And so we have to come to terms with defective beliefs, with some core beliefs that we have that are not working for us and have never worked for us, particularly in the black community. You and I are in a city that spends over $60 million a year on the police. Not to mention the over $500 million tax increase burden placed on the citizens of Chicago for the police. You are living in a city that has over-criminalized the population with red light cameras, speed traps, petty ticket violations, and illegal property seizures of cars and whatnot, converting those seizures into a slush fund to ingratiate departments in the police department. And so we have become our violence, our negative behavior towards ourselves, our desire and willingness to hurt one another has been commoditized. And so our violence is a commodity that provides tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars for police departments all across America who count on how we treat and feel about one another behind that or with that feeling. So we've got to come to grips that we're giving away our own power. There's nobody outside of the black community that has power to stop black violence other than black people. And it is faulty thinking. It is a dependency slave mentality. It reflects the brokenness of our self-esteem and our self-identity as a community, that we always believe that the great white hope, the great white mayor, the great white governor, or some other person outside of our community will come in and save us, when it's up to us to save ourselves. It is up to us to get our act together and harness our power. Otherwise, we cannot deal with the institutional hypocrisies of society that seems to put upon us day after day and hour after hour. It's up to us to do certain things to stop that. And we're not being realistic about that. Prayer vigils will never stop the violence. Marches will never stop the violence. Curbside memorials with teddy bears and balloons and flowers and candles will never stop the violence. The violence is much more complicated than we are willing to face. And until we can get tough on our own self and come to grips with the cruel reality of what we're doing with one another, then we will continue to be a commodity that allows various institutions in society to make big money off of fining us, arresting us, jailing us, sending us to penitentiary. We have to do this. And all of those brothers and sisters that come from street organizations, you have a burden to bear. You have a responsibility. You just can't say, wake up one day after you've matured and you've suffered or made your mistakes. You just can't walk away from the streets as though you have no responsibility to come back. There's something else that you've got to learn how to use your experience, and whatever leadership you had in that experience, you need to come be taught how to convert street leadership into community leadership. You need to understand the value of your experience and what your responsibility is to the future of our community, because these young people did not start gang violence. These young people did not come out of the womb thinking about a gun. You and I, we socialized our children to want guns, to want money over character. We do this to our young people as parents in the black community. We are the ones that give them this animalistic tendency to want to be savages, to want to be ratchet, to do the most vile, heinous things and take pride in it. We're not having a good time unless we being savages. We're not having a good time unless we drinking codeine or promethazine or popping Molly or drinking lean water or sucking on a blunt after blunt after blunt. We gave them this culture. And so those of us who gave them this culture, we have a responsibility now that we are starting to figure out that that lifestyle has no positive end. Then we can't walk away. We can't go somewhere and get a job or get a degree or get a diploma and then clean ourselves up and have a few children, try to cuff our children, take our children out of that. But we're not thinking about the dozens and dozens and dozens of other young people who are imitating us because they saw us doing that when we were in the street life. You have an obligation. You have an obligation, you have a responsibility, and you must be held accountable just as we hold the mayor accountable or the governor accountable or Eddie Johnson accountable or the police department accountable. Street organization members and leadership, you must be held accountable. And so that is our perspective and philosophy with the Street Peace Coalition. We don't have to worry about police brutality if we learn to organize around stopping black on black brutality. Then we won't see that kind of police brutality in our community, because they will see men of respect who will protect and defend their community within every constitutional right afforded to every natural citizen of this United States of America. But we are out of order. And so when you wait on somebody to come in and bring order to you that doesn't love you, doesn't care for you, doesn't know you, and is really intent on sometimes destroying you, then you're going to suffer brutality until we learn to love ourselves. And so we're in a city where just in 2017, I was reading these numbers earlier, we've got over 200 people that have been shot and killed. And we're only 5 months into 2017. We've got 900, almost rounding up to almost going toward 1,000 people shot and wounded already in 2017, with a total of over almost 1,200 people total shot. That's in 2017, and over 215 total homicides in 2017. It's mayhem going in our community. Well, I got a caller. Caller, go ahead. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. Listen, sir, my friend, you rile me up every week. I keep saying I'm not going to watch you, that I didn't like you, but I got to watch you because you tell the truth. But there's two reasons this is all messed up. First, if you want to call your minister, not all of them, 8 out of 10 of them, don't call a Chicago area code. Call a suburban area code, 7088 and those. That's where they all go after taking the money out of the community. Will get themselves a nice house, gated, with the white people. Well, they leave all the black people and the Mexican and whoever else. So then they go come here and preach. Then they take the money back. That's bad. All the people see that. And none of them say anything because that's how they're taught. Like you said, once you're taught one thing, that's the way you're going to act the rest of your life. And that's absolutely wrong. But I call you, give you a little bit of comment, but to call you just to tell you, man, you something. Like I said.
Thank you, sir.
I didn't like you, but I sure do now. And every time I see you on TV, I'm going to give you a call. But
all right.
When there was trouble elsewhere, you were always on TV, telling the people what they want to hear, and all the white people just don't know what to do. And even some of the black people didn't know what to do because you tell them what they're supposed to do, and they walk away.
Yes.
That guy's crazy. No, man, if they start listening to you, like I started, man, there'd be a better world, a better Chicago, and quit voting for them people that don't do nothing for you. All our aldermen stuff, they don't care about you because you got all that construction going on downtown, and not one African American or Hispanic crane is down there. Not one company. All white.
Yes, I got you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, caller.
All right.
I appreciate your time and attention to our show and what we have to say. I appreciate your compliment and encouragement. I agree with everything you said. And this is what we have to do as a community. All Americans have this problem. But I'm an advocate for black people primarily, which includes many people that consider themselves brown. I do a lot of work with my, for lack of a better word, my Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters. But having said that, we have to rise above emotion. Because when you have been raised in an environment that socializes you with false education, that miseducates us with false history, fabricated history, right? We're seeded through social media that raises us on lies and fairy tales. We're not socialized or rehabilitated in a way that our mind is fed and nurtured on truth. And so sometimes the thing that I don't like may be the very thing that I need. And so I might struggle with that. I may not know how to accept the fact that the thing that will heal me is the thing that I don't like. And so we are used to people entertaining us. We're used to people saying what is politically correct, but the problems never go away with the politically correct solutions. The politically correct people seem to live well, do well, and have abundance, while the rest of us who follow that political diatribe, that politically correct diatribe, we wind up in poverty, in pain, in suffering, disenfranchised, locked out, and disconnected from our own potential as a people. We always wind up exploited by trusting in people who come to us with a politically correct worldview. And so the truth is never politically correct when you live in a world that is predicated upon money as its prime principle, white male supremacy as its dominant principle, the exploitation of anybody for the sake of a profit. You are living in a society with perverse incentives that believes that violence is always acceptable to get what you want. And you cannot have a society built like that and then expect poor people, whether they're black, brown, red, or yellow, or white, to not embrace or be socialized into those values and act out under adverse conditions with expressions of violence. And so I want to thank you all for tuning in to us again. We're out of time on this episode of the Street Peace Coalition on Chicago Can TV. We want you to tune in to us again next week at 5 p.m. Reach out to us on Facebook or check us out on our website. Peace.